She is one of those brilliant, very sorted entrepreneur
Embarrassing.
and woman. No, no, I'm not embarrassing, and
Hmm.
I'm actually not
Okay.
saying anything that is not true or
Hmm.
not verified. Dipti will take you to through a session which is about building an apparel brand. She did not start out her life thinking of becoming an entrepreneur. She's a software engineer. Along the line, she has taken this brilliant, what should I say, pivot she's done to get there, to get to where she is today, and becoming the owner of Salt Attire, the founder of Salt Attire, which is one of the very well-known brands, clothing brands in India today. And she found a very clear problem statement, so to say. She found that a lot of Indian women who are going to work, like you and me, they don't have clothes that are suited to Indian bodies. And that's the problem she decided to address. And that's where Salt Attire took its birth. And the stage is all yours. You can take them through your journey and what they can learn from you.
Sure. Thank you, Rika. Thanks a lot for this lovely introduction. And hi, everyone. Your videos are off, but so the thing is, before we begin, I want to make this thing about you, more than about me. Like, since I've been in this and done this for a while, I want to just see how whatever, I can help you with, or I can tell you the experiences that I have had and, that you can learn from. So I would have asked for a show of hands, but since your videos are off, maybe we can do it over chat. If someone can do it, like, you can just give me a yes on chat or something. Say how many of you, um, I just want to find out two things. How many of you are, first of all, thinking of, have an idea but have still not launched a brand and are looking to launch? You can just put a yes in the chat box. Yes or no. If you still not launched your brand. Okay, so we have one, already have a brand. We've launched our brand. Okay, so we have a good mix. Let's assume. So I think for the people who have got it, so I think we have a mix of people who are still looking to launch the brand, who have an idea in your mind, or some of you have already launched your brand and probably looking at scaling and growing it. So for the people who have already launched their brand, this is going to be a little redundant, but just bear with me because it's for everybody. Hi, Mida. Good to see you.
Hi,
And
good to see you.
thank you. So uh, let's keep this. I'm going to keep the session very open. If anyone has any questions, I think typically we leave some time at the end for questions. But if you have any questions, you can either unmute yourself and ask, or maybe in the chat window itself. Um, the way we are going to go about this session is, um, I have just put up sort of a framework for you guys in terms of, let me go to the next slide. So it's a framework. We are going to talk about 3 phases. Basically, your initial setup, once the nuts and bolts are done, building the brand, and then finally scale, and then funding, if you need the funding or not, what you're going to do with it, that. And once a bit on your mindset and your attitude and the entrepreneurial mindset, which is pretty much the most important. And we leave some time out for questions for me again at the end, if there's anything else you want to ask. So let's begin phase 1, the setup, right? For those of you who probably have an idea or who don't even have an idea, and most of you may know, since we're talking specifically about an apparel brand, uh, I'll talk about apparel itself, but just to give you an idea, the way this is structured, it could be for any D2C brand. If it's your beauty, personal care, BPC segment, your FMCG, anything. So let's talk about the setup part, okay? Pretty much it's around your product and your product category. The first step. So the first step would be pretty much identifying, say even, okay, let's assume we're all everyone's got an apparel brand idea and that's what you want to build. So what you need to identify three major sort of axes that will finally define your product. So one is your product category or niche or the what you're looking at. So apparel can be anything. First of all, is it women's wear? Is it men's wear? Is it kids wear? Fluid clothing? Uh, so first of all, having a clarity around the product that you're looking at. Okay. It could be for both men and women. It could be t-shirts. It could be woven. It could be whatever it is. Um, Now, once you have an idea of the product, so again, that you'll get into many. So one will be like, oh, I want to do this. One would be like, okay, I want to do this, but let me vet if this is even something that has a demand out there. So there are various ways to arrive at that also. I would say you should also look at the demand and not just that, oh, I want to do this and yeah, I should do this. You should also see if there is a demand for it. And if there is a demand for something close to that also, you can sort of tweak your story and your product to reach there. So one is defining your product category. How do you go about it? Research. There is plenty of research available. There are plenty of nowadays competitive brands in India, outside of India, who have probably done something like this or probably are looking at doing something like that. And thirdly, and the most important thing is your interest. You must like just an example, if you say that okay, kids wear is maybe the new upcoming market, but if you have zero interest in kids wear, you won't do it, because this is something that you're going to live with day in day out for weeks, months, years to come. You don't get into anything that will not pique your interest or that you will not like. um, Now, secondly, once you have the category roughly, that will also sort of help you determine which goes hand in hand as your target group or your customer, right? This is a very, very, very important thing to define. And the more clarity you have on this part, um, the better it is for you in the initial phase when you launch. And so you know who you want to look at, who you want to target. So see, you'll have, say, if you're saying you're going to do menswear. Um, so, we'll start with okay, now in menswear, what are you looking at for menswear? Are you looking at, say, suits? Are you looking at pants? Are you looking at shirts, t-shirts, whatever? Depending on that, now what is the age group that you're looking at? When I'm saying customer, one is a broad idea based on the product, but once you have a broad idea, you also need to get in depth. There will be a point in time when you launch that you will need to know in depth, you will need to know your customer demographic pit pat, at least the first few customers that you think are your customers. So their demographic, you should know basically their age, what they do, uh, where they spend their time. That is the most important. That will eventually help you in your marketing further on. um, so these are the things that will sort of help you define again your product also, right? And third, and the most important thing is your pricing. Okay. Now, let's go back to like a very basic, say, men's t-shirts brand. Suppose you decide, okay, I'm launching a men's t-shirt brand and it's for men in the age group of 40 to 60 who play golf. And so now, given this demographic and the product category, your pricing sort of automatically, you can peg a pricing to it. Whereas at the same time, I say that I'm building a product for, say, people in the age group, say, men's t-shirt in the age group of, say, 18 to 25, and then the pricing will fall accordingly. So to a large extent, your TG to a large extent does define your pricing, I would say. Uh, I wouldn't say 100%, but to a large extent it does. The only cases where probably it'll make an exception is when you are say you're looking at really, really high design items for, say, maybe a younger crowd or a streetwear, a very, very high-end streetwear brand, things like those. These are just examples I'm throwing. It may not be exactly catering to you, but just to get a broad idea of things. So your phase one is basically defining your product idea and category and everything. And again, just to reiterate this, there are 3 axes that will help you define it. One is your product, having a fair idea of your product category, your product, your TG, and your pricing. Once you tie these 3 things together, you will pretty much arrive at what your product is going to be or what the range is going to be. Okay. Guys, let me know if I'm going too fast or I've just dove into, I'm just diving into it. Feel free to stop and ask questions. Even if you're bored, you can type on the chat box. So coming back to that, the phase 1, the setup, one is your product. Next is pretty much launching your brand and building your brand. Again, once you have your product, you need to make sure you have a brand story to it. A basic brand toolkit is very, very important. Nowadays, you can't get about. I would suggest that, see, first of all, even if you want to do an offline thing or even if you want to do an Instagram shop, nowadays a basic brand toolkit is something that goes a very long way. It helps the customer relate to your product, identify your product, your brand, connect with it. So get your brand story and brand strategy and your brand logo and all these things in order. I wouldn't say invest. So there are all sorts of, how do you go about it? Now, there are all sorts of people out there who, lot of branding talent out there whom that you can leverage or that you can sort of get to do your branding work for you, depending on your budget and your funding or not funding or whatever it is. You can try to get at least the basic minimum things out there. So there are a lot of freelancers out there also who can do this for you. Get your brand name in order, a basic logo, colors, messaging, packaging. And that will also, the person making your brand strategy will also be able to guide you in all these things. Before you come up with your brand name, you have to make sure you check for the website availability. This is a very crux and nuts and bolts that I'm talking about. Make sure this website is available. If not, then maybe tweak your name a little here and there. Before you get into the entire branding business and you invest money in branding, make sure you have all these things available. Turns out you may make an entire brand and do your entire branding bit and catalog, like everything, your logo and the entire toolkit, and turns out that website name is only not available, something as basic as that, or that social media handle is also not available. Another important thing that you must check, which I didn't in my time, and it's been a very hard journey for us. So register your trademark then and there. It's a basic website, IP search. So you can search for it. There are a lot of lawyers available. Register your trademark. You will typically have to register in whatever class you're going to do your business in. And yeah, once you have these things set, I would say once you have this, then you could circle back and then finalize your name, logo, color scheme, story, strategy, and then go about getting your brand toolkit in order and things in order. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. You launch your website, Instagram handle, Facebook handle. There are a lot of people who also start from just an Instagram handle. Nowadays, Instagram shops are a big thing. Facebook handle, if you want to even do a very quick thing and don't want to get into the entire website thing or build your website or even start commerce before your website is built, you can go ahead and do that. Now, once your product is done, once your branding is done, it's also about, of course, when I'm saying building your product, I also mean in case of an apparel or in case of anything D2C, you will have to make the physical product also, right? So either you are manufacturing it, sourcing it, that's a separate topic. We'll come back to it later. But this is assuming you have your product at hand, certain amount of inventory at hand. You finally launch this, and then your initial sales traction. So first of all, don't assume that the minute you launch, things are going to just start selling. Okay. You have to, especially if you're doing an online thing. So in today's world, again, pretty much everybody does launch a website. if not a website, then at least you need to have your social media performance, social media presence. So the best way, so you have to decide, you need to decide your sales channels also and where you want to sell. So let's assume we are doing a D2C brand and we are doing it on our brand.com, on our own website that we've launched. You've launched your social media handles, and then say you start commerce. How do you start selling? Again, there are lots of ways to do it. There are a lot of marketing methods, paid, unpaid. We'll run through that in the next slide. But before that, you have to start. You will initially, especially if you're doing it over your own website, you will have to do certain level of performance marketing also. You will have to invest some certain amount of money in performance marketing. You can start that very slow, and then build it as you keep getting revenue. The other ways to do it is also to get onto e-commerce platforms like your Myntra, Nykaa, Amazon, or Jio, and it's easier said than done. It's not very easy to get on these also, because nowadays they become like there's a much longer process to get on them, except for Amazon. Amazon is fairly simple. It's very DIY sort of thing. You can register as a seller, immediately upload your catalog, and do things yourself very quick. In case of Myntra, Nykaa Fashion, you usually need to get in touch with the people and they'll help you build the entire seller panel for you, upload your catalog. So all of that. And the third sort of sales channel is your offline sales channel. So offline could be your own store. It could be other sort of multi-brand outlets. If you have connects, if you know people in different cities or in different or within your city who can sort of give you a shelf space and help you build sell your product in their offline store, nothing like it. That would be a great you must do that on the side also, or as a primary source if you can. Other than this, there are a lot of ways that sort of came up in COVID a lot. Something like a live shopping, right? Instagram live shopping, or so these kind of gimmicks are also always there. You can try it. If that works, then nothing like it. At least you can get friends and family. The more viral you get, the more you'll spread and be shared. Your content will be shared. Now all the setup is done. You've built your product, done your brand, built your website. You're out there. Now the next phase is, again, reiterating. It doesn't mean that you have a website and you have an Instagram. Like many of us are very psyched. Oh, I've built this, I've done this. I'm going to upload, I'm going to put it out there, and orders will start pouring in. Most likely that will not happen. So that's when the actual marketing push and the building phase comes in, right? So that's a lot of marketing effort that you need to put. It does not have to be paid marketing, but in today's world, so that it's your basic marketing and sales activities that you need to look at when you're doing the building phase, right? So nowadays, one big thing that you can leverage through social media is content. Content marketing is becoming huge. This is something, honestly, that even we as a brand still need to learn. But content marketing is, if you can build content, if you can build videos, photos, like a lot of videos and all, messaging or ads that your audience can relate to, that you're talking to her directly or him directly, whoever your customer is, then the chance, and if any of them hits virality, the chance of those that giving you success is much more, and it's quicker also. It's cheap. It's quite cheap compared to any other paid source of marketing. So one big sort of marketing thing that you can do is content marketing. Just give me a second. Now, these are just a bunch of marketing and sales activities that I've listed out. Depending on your sales channel, where you've launched and how you want to grow your business. And secondly, depending on your marketing budget, depending on these two factors is how you will target these activities. It's pretty much that. Um, if you have any specific questions, we can come back to it later. You can let me know. The whole idea is that once you've tried, say, 3 or 4 sort of things that you think will work for you, depending on your sales channel and your budget, you have to keep doing this. Keep doing this iteratively. Study the results around it. Keep what works, discard what doesn't, and then just keep pushing on those marketing activities to increase your sales. The framework is pretty much that from a very, very high level of things. Of course, you have to get into the depths of how you do it, which one you want to target. Say, let's take an example of, say, performance marketing, right? So you say you've set up your website, so whatever, so when you talk about performance marketing, also you have to devise the right funnel. You have to see sort of, maybe you'll have an initial customer list from somewhere, or initial, even your own friends and family list. That would be, say, your existing customers that you can look at. You will be defining a top-down funnel to see, where you want to sort of budget your marketing money, how you want to get people onto your website, how do the conversions happen. So there are a lot of detailed steps for each of the activities, but that you'll go into in depth later. But first you have to just define at a very high level that what you want to look at depending on your budget. Now, in the entire game of building your brand and everything, the marketing piece is actually the fun piece, and content piece is the fun piece. But the main things, if we are building an apparel brand, the backbone of everything is your operations and supply chain. So this is something that you need to have a strong hold on, especially in an apparel brand, because what happens is in anything else, where it is your BPC or FMCG, whatever, say at launch you have X number of products, you will pretty much market those products for a long time. But when it comes to apparel, you need constant freshness of styles, right? You need to constantly keep putting out fresh styles depending on the weather, depending on the season, depending on whether it is festive, non-festive, whatever it is. So when it comes to apparel is a huge fashion, with the fashion industry. Fashion you need a huge churn of freshness also. Say if you've launched on in the month of May, even 3 months later, or say you've launched in June. So by October, November, you most likely will not be selling the same thing, or you'll at least try to give them something more seasonal, right? Or try to give more new styles. So to make sure that churn is there nonstop, you need to have a very, very good, strong supply chain. All right. So again, now it depends whether are you making your own product or are you sourcing your own product. If you're going to make your own product, you should have a very strong raw material procurement sort of supply chain. You should know the vendors well. You should have, well connected to them, or at least say, even if you say you make, even a simple example, like say you make a product X, okay, and in like 5 colors, and that is so good that it gets sold out and you want to restock it. If you don't have your vendor in place for that raw material, you're not going to be able to restock it. You will not even get that raw material. So you've lost all that sale there, all that effort that you've done to reach there, you've lost everything because you cannot replenish it. So you don't want to get into that. So a very strong raw material procurement if you're making your own product. If you are not making your own product, if you're procuring your product, then again, a very strong vendor base in terms of how you like they help you with the speed. The speed is very important, that they can fulfill your requirement quickly. They can, all these things. So a very strong back end and operations and supply chain is something that is very important. So your back end is important. The next thing that is important is your logistics and shipping. Because if you're going to be shipping orders, you need to make sure that you are shipping to the customer so that she gets it on time. She tells, say, 5 other friends, and then she comes back to you. So it's not that she orders and it's done. You need to keep getting her back also. So thankfully for that, we have a lot of solutions in place now. There are a lot of shipping companies, logistics companies that sort of you can tie up with and make an account, and they will just come and pick it up from you and all that. So you don't have to. That is, a lot of things are set in the past 4-5 years. In fact, there are a lot of third-party companies that do this also. So that is something that you can outsource as well. And that would be pretty much the building phase of it. So guys, yeah, any questions, or should I go through the whole thing and then we leave some time out for questions later? Rika?
I think you finish, Deepti, and then we can take all the questions in one go.
Sure. And lastly, in the whole framework of things is your scale. Yeah. Now, once you've launched it, once you're building it, when I say building, you are doing these marketing activities, you are getting some revenue in, you're putting it back into marketing, you're putting it back into your inventory, and then you keep churning out new stuff, you get more revenue. So once you hit a certain revenue rate, that's when you feel like, I mean, I'm not saying that you're not growing. Until then also you're growing, but there will be a point where you'll be like, okay, now I have my product, I have my product market fit. So once you have your PMF fit, right? Like, this works, this product works, I can keep churning it out. I know this has hit its sweet spot. Pricing is perfect. Everything is perfect. Customers are coming back. Let's hit scale. Okay. So let's start scaling. So when you reach that point, that's when it depends. You may not require the funding bit. Okay. So scale, I would say, is a very, very sort of subjective thing. When I say subjective, what I mean is, when you say you want to start scaling, you need to understand a couple of things, right? For yourself also. Say, where do you see yourself? Like, it's very important for you to understand certain questions for yourself. First of all, do you want to scale, right? Like, maybe you are already at like a good, healthy, annual run rate of a business, and profitable, and you're getting the money in, and everything's going smooth, and everyone loves your product, and the brand is good, and you're happy, right? So a lot of people, I mean, that is something. So you have a lot of designers also who work like that. A lot of people who work like that, especially in apparel. So you need to understand whether you want to scale or not. So if you are at a good pace and you're happy with things, this is how you want it to be, then great. You can continue doing that, and then keep growing at a steady pace, keep investing in your business. The second thing is, oh, I want to make this really huge, I want to reach everywhere, all those things. But again, you need to realize, when you make these decisions for yourself, it comes with a lot of other things. Now, when I say scale, you will have to start it starts a new sort of range of things that you may not even have thought of, right? So you have to decide for yourself whether you need that scale or not. Now, if you've decided, okay, this is the scale that I want to reach the scale, or I want to scale and I want to reach this revenue, then you start thinking about, okay, then you start thinking about the funding bit also. Say, I'm at X revenue, I want to reach Y. So what are the kind of activities that are required to reach her? Okay. What is the kind of funding that I will require to reach her? So again, that will give you, depending on whatever your current metrics are, we'll go over it in one of the slides. Depending on whatever your metrics are, you can decide whether, okay, now these are my metrics, and if I keep doubling up on this, or if I keep, there'll be a point where I will hit profitability if you're still not profitable, and then I can maybe stop there. So I feel, for me, scaling and funding is a very personal question, as to what is the kind of, where you want to go, not everybody wants to. So if you are a good self-sustaining business and you want to, this is what you want, so you can stop there. And again, scale is very subjective. For some people, scale may be 10 CR, for some it will be 1000 CR, for some it will be 100 CR. So you need to understand who you are, where you want to be, your own personal ambitions and goals as well. A few things.
Dipti, some questions are coming. So once
Okay.
you
Sorry.
finish with the metrics,
Hmm.
I will read out the questions to you and then
Hmm.
you can answer. How do Medha is asking,
Okay.
how do you demand planning?
Huh.
And that is how do you decide how many pieces to keep in stock? Would you like to answer
Hmm.
that first and then we go with the other
Yeah,
question?
sure. So see, hi Mida. So I think initially is when you launch, right? When you launch, you'll probably launch with a certain number of SKUs or a certain number of options, right? Um, Typically, when you launch, you will have certain planning. Okay, maybe this is the revenue that I want to hit, and given this pricing, I will keep. So again, with apparel, what happens is another layer of complexity that gets added is the sizes, right? We're not selling like a bag or a toothbrush or a phone. Like we have sizes. So say if you're making 40, like I don't know, say you're making 50 options and each one has 5 sizes, right? So you will need, and then in each size you will need say two pieces. So you will need to do that calculation and probably keep say, and again, actually it's worked backwards. This is my budget, this is my unit price. So given this budget and this unit price, these are the amount of options that I can produce. And so maybe initial stock that you produce, you will need to invest in inventory. And then I would say typically like what we have done is we have just seen what has worked. Like we have very closely studied, okay, these sort of silhouettes work, these sort of uh, prints. In fact, online, if you're selling online, prints tend to work more than solids. I'll just like give that to you. That's what we have learned. Because usually when you're online, you'll see a lot of prints. It's all about photos. So then again, going deep into what are the prints that have worked, let me develop on those. So there are some chances you'll have to take. There could be a chance where there could be times when your inventory may not sell out, for a few options, but you have to find ways to liquidate it. Either you put it up on sale, or most likely if you put up on sale, it will go, and then you use that same money to sort of build the inventory again. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much that.
And she's also asking how to scout and select vendors for fabric and manufacturing.
So where are you based? Are you based in
So I'm based out of Chennai,
okay.
and I am getting into women's western wear apparel.
So
So yes,
uh like woven or knit?
woven.
Okay.
And
So
looking, and in particular, like, you want that kind of output also to be generated, right? Like something which they can, there are a few complicated designs, there are a few like front knot twist kind of designs that
correct,
you
correct, correct.
want them to, a manufacturer to be able to understand and give you that kind of finishing. You want fabric vendors to give you that kind of quality as well.
Right, right, right. So I'm not sure about the Chennai market when it comes to manufacturers and everything. For
Mm.
us, I mean, the reason I'm based out of Gurgaon is because like
Mm.
Noida, Gurgaon is the hub
Yes,
for
yes.
this. So we were sort of lucky in that way. We have Nehru Place, we have our other markets very close to us, like very accessible. And in terms of sort of finishing and your manufacturing, the
Right.
tailors in the north are usually the best
Do you
when
also
it comes
have
to.
fabric testing done? Like, you mentioned
Yeah.
Nehru. So do you do fabric testing?
Yes, we do. So I'm not sure. So I'm sure there will be some manufacturing units and all in Chennai as well, right? Or there'll be an area. I would say there'll be some industrial area where all this happens.
Right,
You
right.
should just go to that industrial area, walk around, get into some of people's offices, take appointment, or just walk in and
Right.
start from there.
Okay, got
And
it.
typically, what happens in these industrial areas, like our office is also situated in one of them,
Hmm.
everything around is related to that. Like you'll find your tailors there, you'll find your master G's there, you'll find your fabric testers there, you'll find like that entire sort of area has and expertise and all this.
Understood.
I think you're very close to Tirupur also, right? That's supposed to be like a very big hub for
Yes,
everything.
yes. The challenge with the entire Tirupur zone is because of the MOQs. So not many are
Correct.
MOQ friendly.
That is a big challenge you are going to
Yes,
face. Even
yes,
we
yes.
still face it. I'm telling you, we still face it. Because when they are talking about MOQ, sometimes they're talking about 1,000 pieces in one sort of,
Yes,
we also don't
exactly.
want. Yes. So that's a huge, that is a chicken and egg situation that you face till you, when you start. Uh, and,
If I ask, like, what is a good MOQ to know that, okay, your business is doing well? Like,
I don't think that is, it depends, right? That is, I don't think that's a very, it's a very generic question.
okay, okay.
It could be anything. Like it depends on what unit price you can
Right,
get
right.
these products at, and then what you're selling at, what your margins are, all of this.
Sure, got it, got it. Thank you, Dipti.
Yeah, no problem. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. You have, I think, my number. I
Uh,
can get your number,
yes,
fill you
please.
on the
I would
group.
really like
Yeah,
to interact with you as well.
yeah, anytime. Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Also, she asked another question on how much to invest in performance marketing to generate a certain kind of revenue.
That's again a very this generic question.
So I actually, okay,
Huh.
I'll tell you where I'm coming from.
Huh.
So I just want to know, like, okay, is a budget of 2,50,000, how much sales does it generate for you?
So you're
Or
talking about ROA, so it's ROAS, your return on ad spend,
yeah,
right?
or even like, for example, suppose we're doing influencer marketing, or we're doing performance marketing, or influencer based performance marketing.
Hmm.
Like if through the click-through rate, how much sales can you generate? So if you're spending 10,000 rupees on an influencer, how much
Hmm.
sales can you hope to generate?
So influencer, somehow I have never seen it like a direct. I have not been able to measure it like a direct thing, because in influencer, one way to actually know if that influencer is working, and what we do with a lot of them is we give them a code, coupon
Right.
code, and we
Yes.
say you share it on your profile. So whoever is used that and shopped with us, and you give a generous discount, yeah, give a 20-25% discount. So if
Yeah.
somebody is actually watching her content and is interested in whatever she's selling, or in influencing them with, they'll buy it. But when it comes to performance marketing, ROAS, a 3 ROAS is good.
Okay.
Is good for Western wear. In fact, ethnic has a much higher ROAS.
Okay. Okay.
So a decent 3 ROAS is good to begin with. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Anytime. Yeah.
Okay, Asha Priya Sivakumar, she says, can you throw some light on initial investments required, how to secure the funds?
So I think if you're talking about so initial investment would again depend on how much what you're planning to do and what you're planning to make. A lot of it will be your initial inventory costs also, and then whatever you require for branding and everything. And if you want a very initial seed, so that's typically everybody picks it up from friends and family, or there are a lot of networks out there that sort of help you get the very initial funds. You'll have to just keep searching online. There are a lot of women-led sort of places also that can help you get the very initial funds. You'll have to do a lot of, if you Google enough, you'll find enough of uh, contests and things online that you can not just contest, but the things online, especially for women-led businesses, that you can apply to, and they'll give you the initial funds. But you need to do, I myself don't know, but I know there are a lot of things like this.
I think, Asha Priya, I can provide an answer for that. On the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
community Telegram group, we keep providing you a lot of resources on, prospective pitch fests, funding opportunities. You will have to look out for that. And also, my experience is not all ideas not all ideas get funded. So businesses normally don't get funded at the idea stage. It's at a later stage, when after you've started. It's very rare, these days, that an idea funding is done. So once you start, there are a lot of resources. Please keep having a look at the Telegram group. We regularly share a lot of information about funding possibilities. So I'll keep sharing them and please keep checking them out. And if you're not on Telegram, do let me know. I will put the link. Also, Ramya
Also,
says,
Ramya said, yeah, thank
Dipti,
you
are
for
you a
answering.
manufacturer of clothes yourself or you do get them manufactured?
So, both hybrid, a little bit of it we manufacture outside, a little bit we do it ourselves. Initially, we started out just doing it ourselves, but now that we make more, we have started outsourcing some of it also. Yeah.
Nandini Sundaresh is asking, I observed that your brand has been featured in most of the prestigious magazines and platforms. In terms of marketing, is this a good strategy to invest in to reach more audience?
I don't know. It depends on which magazine and which platform. But I would say rather invest that money in performance marketing. But a few, one or two good news wires and all, something magazine would help sort of just to give you that validation, the initial validation that okay, featured and so and so. But I wouldn't say that. But I don't think that's a make or break thing. Ultimately, if your product is good, if you reach your customer through performance marketing, she purchases it and she comes back to you, then I think you have pretty much done your job.
Dipti, I have a question for you. In
Yeah,
terms
sure.
of what are the really success parameters as an entrepreneur?
Hmm.
What would you say personally?
Hmm.
How would you define what are the parameters you would say one should have to be defined as successful?
I was actually going to talk about metrics on the next slide, if that's something that you want to
Yeah.
go through. Hardcore business metrics, but you're saying as an okay, that I don't know, that's your personal goal, right? Whatever each one's personal goal is.
Can you bootstrap and still be called successful, or do you have to be funded by a VC? Do you
No,
have to
no,
be
not at all. In fact, funded by, I mean, of course, you can be bootstrapped and be called successful. Funding is not, unfortunately, it had become like this in the past few years that funding is sort of a validation to, uh, but I would say it's the other way around.
hero story? Then you get funded, it's a hero story, and if you're
Yeah,
not
all of that's how journalists, all the business and everything, everyone was about. There have been a lot of articles and a lot of counter sort of interviews on this by many founders, how funding had become the story for everything. Like you said, the hero story. If you're funded, then because what happens is if you're funded, then you are actually just, you can suddenly be all over, right? With the marketing and with, you're suddenly all over. So I get it just helps you scale better, but in today's market and in today's space and the way we're looking at least couple of years, profitability again is a very, very important factor. So even, VCs are not taking it lightly. That earlier it was pretty bad, I think, until like 5 or 6 years ago, in the sense that they were just spending money with, and people were not even, many of them didn't even have sort of a revenue stream. But things are changing now, and there is a funding winter, and let's
it
see.
is a funding winter.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, that's really interesting. You want to finish your presentation? So I was
Yeah,
actually
just
curious to know from you.
to oh, your questions are
Yes.
the toughest. Yeah. So just a few things. One is metrics, guys. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And I would say forget everything. Like even if, and this is something which I will say I initially didn't focus on, right? I was just like, oh, uh, how many people are buying my product or how are we making? And I was very product focused, which is good, but you have to be metrics focused. You should know your, like, even if I wake you up in the middle of, this is what someone had told me, like a mentor, and I think it really, like, even if I wake you up in the middle of the night and ask you these numbers, you should know them, right? that is the kind of, only then. So being obsessed about your product is not of being obsessed about your business. Being obsessed about your numbers is being obsessed about your business, right? So your focus should be numbers. Get your numbers right. Do whatever it takes to get your numbers right. Everything else will sort of fall in place, right? So these are a few metrics that you should, these are very standard metrics. So in your financial terms, product, customer. So even if you know these metrics, it's these are your very, so your financial metrics are your revenues, your fixed costs, you know, what is your, say if you're paying rent, salaries, electricity, your variable cost, that is your cost of your goods, uh, then mine, subtract your marketing, other costs, and what's your P&L, what is your earnings. Then in terms of your product metrics, so when you say a good product or something, you should know, you should again know it by, first of all, what are your product margins, right? How much are you buying it for? What are you selling it for? Typically in the industry, what is the product margin? Are you at a good product margin or not? Um, the last one actually comes in sales, it's in this, but when somebody's buying, what is your average order value also, right? So you can also play with pricing at this point. So if you have a very high margin, maybe you reduce your pricing and see if your order value increases, you know. So a lot of times psychologically, it's like if something is for $1,500, you'll buy 3 of those, but you will not buy one product for 4,500 also, right? Or for 3,500 also. So these kind of things that you need to, you know, work on and get these numbers better. Your product return rate. Now, one thing with fashion and apparel is the return rate, right? Because a lot of times it will not fit. You want to try products and then sort of you know, keep it or not keep it. So your return rate also is something that you need to keep a check on. And customer metrics, how many new customers you're adding month on month, what is your customer acquisition cost, that will come from your performance marketing, and how many customers are repeating. If you have a good customer repeat rate, then you're good. That means you're doing something right. So metrics would be a very, very important thing. And yeah, this is my last slide. It's your mindset and your attitude. This is probably the most important thing. Everything else you can Google. I think even this you'll get on Google, but you know, just wanted to walk you guys through it. Something that I've also learned over a period of time, and maybe still learning when a lot of things happen. So one is, as simple as it sounds, a positive mental attitude. So when I say positive, is that if something doesn't go your way, you need to learn from it and move forward. That's it. Don't get emotional about it. Don't be like, oh, why did I do this? How did I do this? Don't wallow in your mistakes. Just move forward. Your job as an entrepreneur is to keep a positive momentum for yourself, for your team, for your organization, right? So that is one thing that you must inculcate. One is push, and then the second one would be push through completion. That is ship it out, like it's called. There will be a lot of ideas in your head. So execute them and do it. Like Sheryl Sandberg's quote, right? Done is better than perfect. So don't wait to make it perfect and never do it. Just do it. Just do it. I just quoted Nike now, I'm realizing, but just do it and uh, push it out. Ship it out is what is important. Um, have clear goals, right? Sometimes, say you will just keep dishing out products, you'll keep doing performance marketing, but what is your goal out of this, right? When you're releasing a certain collection or when you are running a certain ad, you should know what you're trying to measure also, what you wanted out of this, and are you getting that or not. So have that clear goal, and don't let the fears of what others think of you stand in your way. And one thing that you will sort of one thing that will help you do this is basically self-awareness. So as an entrepreneur and through your journey, you will learn a lot about yourself also. So keep that, like, be aware of it, learn about yourself, what you're good at, what you're not, what will bog you down. Don't do that. And yeah, lastly, no pain, no gain. So yeah, just keep doing. So thank you and all the best. That's pretty much it, guys.
That was a fantastic session, Deepti. There's so
Thank
much to
you,
learn.
Rita.
Really so much to learn.
Any questions, guys? We can chat if there is anything at all. Any other questions? I think there were some.
I think you pretty much answered all the
Ah,
questions. There
yes.
are
Ah.
Nandini, I think.
Yeah, I think we covered the questions.
Yeah, we covered the question. There are about 6 of them who couldn't join. They've asked me for the recording.
Oh,
And uh, yeah, because 4 o'clock they couldn't
ah.
come. Any of you, if you have any question, you can ask her now, or she's a part of the entrepreneurial group. She's a part of the Telegram group. She's a part of
WhatsApp
the
as well. Yeah.
Trillion community. Those of you who are on Trillion. Swarnali, are you on Trillion?
Hi, good evening. I'm on
Hi.
Trillion and I'm here just to understand Dipti's work because I work as an image consultant and
Oh,
sometimes,
lovely.
yeah,
Ah.
and I'm based in Singapore and
Okay.
sometimes my clients in India
Ah.
who are, little 40 or 50 plus age group and
Hmm.
not very comfortable still
Hmm.
now with online shopping like the youngsters.
Hmm.
So they tell me that to tell the name of the shop where they can go or to
Hmm.
the particular
Hmm.
online where they can
Hmm.
go and they can try corporate
Hmm.
attire
Hmm.
mainly because when they take my sessions and these are senior leaders in their multinationals in different
Hmm.
different professions. And when I tell them to find something which I find online, and I tell them, and then they say, Swanali, please come and open a shop here. We can't find anything. And when I say professional,
It's hung.
as
I
Dipti,
think, yeah.
and many of you know which fabric, everything falls into that. So I just wanted to understand from Dipti here. That's why I have joined. That how they can reach you, how to connect with you, and where they find your product.
Yeah, sure. So in fact, we have tie-ups and everything with a lot of image consultants in India as well, because that is something, like you said, they have a lot of clients, especially they struggle with. So we do a lot of tailored measurements and all also. So that is something that Rika has just sent our website.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So,
So
and if you have people in Delhi and Bombay, they can visit. I'll also probably send you a specific sort of discount code Swarnali, something that we make, that they can use. They can give you a reference and sort of shop with us.
right, that would be lovely. And
Yeah.
and do you have any physical shop or no?
We
In
have
Delhi?
in Mumbai and NCR as well. So
Okay,
if
great.
you have customers in Bombay and NCR, they can visit us at the store and buy.
Okay,
That
great.
sort of becomes easy, I know, even for a lot of people, because you can try like 5 or 10 things and then pick. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and as I mentioned that with the senior people, for them, they said online doesn't work because they don't have time to search and order and
Correct.
go and then return all these things. They are not into this as something new.
Correct.
They just want to go to a shop and if I have trained them, tell them about in the sessions, in my sessions, that what kind of cut, what is their body shape, what is their skin tone, what is their face shape, what is their position,
Correct.
what kind of clothes they should wear, or their big presentation, or they're going for a foreign trip, and they can't find it in the market. So I am very specific here, and of course, you are understanding what what my clients.
Yeah.
And so the store will be better because you said made to order, but made to order also I don't think they have time for that because these are very senior people and ladies and women. Yeah,
So
so
we
that
have a lot of standard sizes also. So they can always visit our store. I think I'll connect with you. I'll probably give you the details.
Yes.
Yeah.
For that only I have come
Yeah.
here. I will connect with you. Thank
Okay.
you so
Awesome.
much. I'm sorry for joining late. I have just
No problem at all. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Rika.
Thank you very much, Swarnali. And she's on Trillion. You can get her number there. Both of you.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, another, I think, Priyanka's question, and with that we can end. How does the brand story influence a fashion brand? What are some of the untapped ways to use brand story for marketing? Priyanka Survey is asking you.
So brand story sort of helps you, I would say, in a big way. One is to connect with your audience, right? Um, what is your brand about? What is this? Uh, so there will be a lot of people who may feel, uh, especially your customers, right? They will feel the same, whatever you're trying to explain or convey in your brand story, they will feel the same way. Or maybe they will have the same problems. There are a lot of brands which are also built. Ours was also initially, I mean, even now, pretty much around that problem solution sort of thing. So, oh, these things don't fit me, and where should I find them? So, okay, look, we've made these sort of sizes for you. We made it for Indian bodies. So, it, I would say, brand story in a big way helps the connect happen. So, even a story on, even when if you make something, I'm not saying, so even if you made something, uh, and you have sort of, you will have the why of you're coming up with this, right? Somebody will associate with it or connect with it. So once that connect happens, it's much easier for the customer then to sort of, um, buy from you, or at least, look at your garments, your clothes, and connect with you. So I would say for the connect bit, it's very important. And there are a lot of people who have gone from zero to whatever X crores just with a very, very, very good brand story and harping on it and marketing on it. So yeah, I would say it's something which is important to connect your customer. So yeah, that's it.
I think we pretty much addressed all the questions that there were.
Yeah,
And Dipti, thank you very, very, very much for
thank you.
sparing.
Thanks everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really engaging. It was there was a lot to learn. And for those who could not attend, I'll be sharing the recording.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
all
a
of you.
lot. Thanks everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for all your time. Bye.
Bye.